I'm not sure how to tell you this, but actually right now I'm about as nervous as I've ever been in my life. And that's because I'm sitting really close to a high school principal, because usually when I've been this close to a high school principal in the past, it means that I'm in a lot of trouble. And so I have a lot of dark memories and fears that I'm trying to wrestle through right now, but no, not really. So today on Mosaic, I asked Kimmy Jones, would she come and tell us a little bit about what's going on and how she has navigated through some things in 2020 and now in 2021 as she is moving forward in spite of everything that's been going on in our community, that she could give us some insight on some things that she's learned and some plans that she's got as she keeps moving forward. And just a little bit about her. Not only is she a high school principal, but most importantly, she's a believer in Jesus Christ and one of the most faithful women that I know. Also, I would tell you that she's a great mom. She lives in a frat house, really, because she's got 3 boys and a husband. And I see her sometimes on Instagram riding around in ATVs. And I mean, she is a boy's mom. And so she's that. But she also, she counsels people, she helps people, she listens, she teaches. I mean, does so many things. And I thought it would be great to be able to hear from her today on Mosaic. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask a few questions. She's going to talk a little bit and we'll sort of go from there. So anyway, Kimmy, that was a mouthful.
Wow. After that introduction, I hope I'm going to provide everything that is with wealth and just a heart from the Lord to be able to share today. So thank you for the opportunity.
Sure. Well, the thing is if people live in Noonan, they know you. And you have an impact on thousands of people's lives in what you do. And if you don't live in Noonan, she's got great insight, I think, that will help you as you continue navigating through the things that have been going on in our life and the things that are coming up. So let's just get right to it. I mean, 2020 was we've been talking about it for forever. We talked about it all year that it was a weird year. Mm-hmm. But, what were a couple of things that you really wrestled through this year that were particularly difficult? And that could be that school stuff, personal stuff, whatever.
I am created to be highly social. And starting on March 13th, when we were totally just shut down and being stuck in home, I thought, what in the world? What am I going to do? I need people. I need to be out in the community and interacting with others. And the Lord said, it's okay, Kimmy. Use this time just to focus on home and your children. Mm-hmm. Thomas was a senior in his last semester of high school. And what a precious time that no one can take that away from us. Typically, that would have been our busiest season at home with our boys and all of the activities, boys in 3 different sports and running here and there, flipping a coin and saying, where are you going, babe? Which team are you cheering for today? Which boy are you going to be following? And which one am I going to? And then being split with the others as well. But it's definitely one of those things where it's been a gift. I have to look at it as a gift and really being thankful to kind of get back to the basics of things, just being outside in the woods with the kids and not running around in the busyness of life. I'll tell you, that's probably one of the greatest things that I've learned since we hit into this global pandemic is boundaries and what is important. And I've learned that I can't say yes to everything. And for everything that I'm saying yes to, I'm actually saying no to something. Sure. And those no's that I'm saying no to, I need to weigh out, should they get a no? Yeah. And am I busying myself with too many things? So kind of just an opportunity to be slow and to not have so much really on the plate, even though there was a tremendous heaviness with trying to run a school from my bedroom or my back porch or the kitchen. That was very interesting. But there was just this true resonation of a gift that it was going to be okay and we could enjoy this simplicity of life.
Yeah. I love that you talked about no. And sometimes I tell people that you've got to have courage to say no. Yes is easy. Somebody asks you to do something, here's an opportunity to be involved, a way that you can do something that you haven't done before, and you go, yes, 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 and we fill up our lives. And of course, all that business in our lives, it destroys the intimacy in our lives. And so I love the, what you say about, hey, we can just dial things back a little bit and take advantage of those things. And with all that you've got going on, that's a very courageous thing to be able to say, no, I don't have to do every single thing that comes across. Well, I'm guessing that you've had some interesting conversations with parents, ranging from, will you get this kid out of my house? Can you please open school again? To going, I'm never letting my kid come to school because I'm afraid what's going to happen. I'm a wide range of emotions, I'm sure. So, what are, how did that happen? And how did you try and help lead those families who were at one end of the other? Because both of those situations are indicative of fear in somebody's life.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, for one, like I said initially, is that I'm such a social person. So using technology in every way possible to connect with people and maintaining that connection, that while I may not have been walking down the halls any longer and checking in on my teachers or checking in on the students or collaborating with my team, I was making sure that we were doing that from our homes, or like I said, the back porch or the kitchen. Zoom became something that was an amazing resource for us so that we could connect with people.
It's become a new verb for us. We Google
we're
everything
zooming.
and we Zoom. We're going to Zoom, and we're all zoomed out at this point.
That's right. And believe me, I definitely got zoomed out because I want to be in the presence of others. And it's not the same. It's something that we can look at as being a very positive resource, something that we could tap into and make lemonade out of lemons, so to speak, so that we can maintain that connection. God created us to be his disciples, to go and share and spread the good news. And we do that through our interactions, through these relationships that we're building. And I would say that was a key thing that we really needed to do together as a team professionally, but also as our family, that we were maintaining connections with our family relationships. We were maintaining connections with our family at Trinity Christian School, both teachers, students, staff, and their families also. And we could do that through the Zoom. But when you remarked about, these polar ends of the spectrum, the fear, and then the other end of like, get my kid back in school and they need to get this normalcy. And I would say, wow, what a challenge, because I don't have the answers. And every day had presented some different challenge, obstacle, hurdle, but really just to listen and hear where they were and to acknowledge that this is where they were in all of this. And if the Lord could use me as a vessel to speak some truth into them or to comfort their spirit, then I was ready for that. Being prayed up is another facet of this whole thing, is every single day just saying, hey, I am yours. Use me for your honor and glory every single day. I'm surrendering to you, and fill me with everything that you're wanting to flow from me, so that I can be full and it can be outpouring to others.
Oh, yeah. Well, how about with some of the people that you have been involved with and you've been helping and you've been coaching, listening to? Is there some things maybe that you learned from some other families, or things you're like, wow, that's great. That's something that people who are watching today, that they could say, hey, that would be something maybe I could try in my family?
Yeah, I would say make lemonade out of lemons, because we've been thrown a ton of lemons every single day. I mean, I kind of joked with my team of staff and saying I felt like I was in a circus act or something. And, I've got all these plates spinning, and I've got the fire and the swords and the hula hoops and unicycles and everything else. But slowing down and just getting to the basics of listening, being open, being receptive, being sensitive and compassionate. And these are things in the busyness of life, they kind of go to the wayside. It's kind of, we're in this me world and have it right now and get the answers super quickly. But I really think in all of this, the Lord said, slow down, be still. Know that I am still God. I am remaining faithful. And that is something that I've been hearing from numerous families. And I have to remind myself of that, to be still and know that He is really with us and helping us through things. Another thing is just what we can get from songs of praise and worship, especially when those songs are specifically scripture that are coming through, and singing that over and over and over again. And we sing in our office. We have some incredibly talented staff that surround us, and of course, people on performing arts team as well. And we have a really good time. And it's nice to have fun in all of it, because like I said, we're juggling so many things and we're making lemonade out of those lemons. And that's been something that we have talked about really since March 13th. You know, this has a date for me. March 13th is that date. It was this turning point of life. And oh gosh, what in the world? I'm a principal of a high school and in charge and responsible for all of these people. How do we even do this? Thinking outside of the box, collaboration, the support, the encouragement, tapping into mentors and resources. And those are things that I would encourage other people to do. Be transparent, be vulnerable, and let them know that sometimes you're not okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been okay in all of this. And sharing that with other people in a way empowers them to feel okay that they weren't okay too. You know, sometimes there is this ideation that Kimmy Jones has it all together.
Right.
And that I know the answer to everything and I can help you out with anything. And I could do a lot of those things, but I don't have it all together. And it's not always perfect. And it's not always a bed of roses. And it's not always easy. And sometimes it's lonely. But when I can take a minute to be transparent and share that with people, then somehow it just works out so amazing for them to be pouring into me and sharing God's truth and things that I need to be reminded of. And I'm thankful for those things.
Yeah. You know, it's one of the things I talk about a lot with people is that, you know, other than God resting His hand on something, everything rises and falls on leadership. And, you know, the one word definition for leadership is influence. And, you know, and that's why I look at you, Kimmy, and I say you're a tremendous leader because you have influence in just tons of people's lives. And, but you're right. You know, leadership can be a very lonely thing at times. And then, you know, you're also play a role in leading an organization where there are children involved and there's safety issues. I mean, there's always safety issues at school.
Right.
Since what, 2001, was that when Columbine happened? You know, there's that kind of, but this was a whole different kind of safety issue at school.
Right.
And having to implement policies and then plus, you know, you got stuff at mom, as being a mom, you're super involved at Southcrest, a lot of different, I mean, it's all over the place for you. So, and, you know, I've had these moments where, you know, emotionally I'm trying to figure out, hey, what to do. And, you know, you get to the point and say, well, I just have to lean into the Lord here and say, you know, God, I just don't know what to do. I'm a doofus at this point. I've never walked through this before. What do I do? So how about when you got to some of those moments? Because I'm sure you had some of those moments. You know, how did you approach the Lord and say, I need your help. I need you to intervene with me.
Yeah. And in all honesty, I've literally had this conversation multiple times. Okay, Lord, you've called me to this. And you have promised that you've equipped me for it. And I believe that. And I want to step into that. But goodness gracious, what happened to you only give me what I can handle? This seems like I can't handle it.
Yeah. Have you said that? There's, Ruth talks about for such a time as this.
For such a time as this.
And I'm going to sit there and go, oh my goodness, are you sure? God, you got the wrong person in the wrong seat at the wrong time. Are you sure?
Are you sure you wanted Kimmy Jones in Sharpsburg, Georgia? Is that the right person? Mm-hmm. They say that you've got your, what do they call it? Where you've got your twin on the other side of the world.
Your doppelganger.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm thinking maybe you picked the wrong one. Maybe it was meant to be for somebody else. And I know that sounds comical, but sometimes you have to look at it that way. And, it's a real conversation with the Lord. And this is really how I operate. When his word says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, I say, Kimmy, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Mm-hmm. I'm personalizing that. And I share that with as many people as possible. His word is personal. And it is intimate. And from the time that I was 14 years old and decided that he was Lord and Savior over my life, it was my determined purpose to become more deeply and intimately acquainted with him. And that's through relationship. That is through conversation. Communication is the top key to how we're interacting with others. And it doesn't mean that you have to have the word for everything. It means you've got to have the ears to listen and the heart to receive the message and the mind to go with it. And gosh, I would just say that the conversations have been intimate and they've been vulnerable and they've been emotional. Oh my goodness. I have probably cried more since March 13th of 2020 than I have in years. The crying out of be with me, help me. I'm surrendered to you, all the way to the tears of joy and praise for face-to-face instruction with students and the team. Oh my gosh, the team that I'm surrounded by and the truth that they can speak into my life. My husband. Oh my gosh. The tears of like, wow, Lord, you chose this man to be with me. I mean, it brings a tear to my eye right now. He is amazing. And he is my friend, my very best friend.
That's good.
And that's who I can share everything with. But goodness gracious, sometimes he does not want to hear all of that madness that's going on. So trying to filter through how much is too much and who else are you sharing with? So that's where that vulnerability comes, or just that intimate conversation with the Lord. Yeah. So important.
Well, there's this spiritual exchange that happens when we tell God, this is what's going on in my heart. This is my struggle. He knows. Yeah. He knows everything. He's numbered the hairs on our head. He's numbered our days, all these things. But when when we're vulnerable, it's the word that you used a couple of times today, when we're vulnerable before him and say, hey, God, this is what I'm struggling with. I mean, he loves that because it causes us to draw nearer to him. Mm-hmm. And I think, whether you consider yourself to be a leader or not, the whole idea of saying, look, God, I want you to know what's going on with me. He knows, but tell him. It makes a difference for you. And what will happen when you do that, it will lift you up because you'll get out of the pit that you might have found yourself in, and you'll find yourself being raised up a little bit. Proverbs 13:20 says, he who walks with the wise grows wise, but the companion of fools suffers harm. And so you've talked a little bit about relationships today too. So how important is it for you to have other people in your life in the community with you? Because I know you and your husband, Jeremy, you're like this. And so there's this community and bond that should be there between husband and wife. Sure. And so I'm sure he has been, support and strong. And so maybe something that he has helped you with, or you've helped him with in this community relationship that you have, or maybe other people, some other companions around you, that wise people that you have walked with, that what are some things you picked up from them?
That's a really good question. I have a tendency to be super private. And so I would have my unloading constantly on Jeremy. And for me to really receive from him, babe, I can't hear all of this. It's too much. It's too negative, honestly, because the things that I deal with aren't always beautiful, and they're tough, and they're confidential. That's huge. And being able to trust other people with information that you carry is not always what I can do. And that's why that relationship with the Lord is so important. And like you said, he already knows. He already knows. So I can unload all of those things in my conversation and through prayer with the Lord. But we're human. And like I said, I'm a social person. And so having key relationships that can maintain the utmost confidence, and they value the friendship with me to the degree where I don't have to say names. I don't have to share the nuts and bolts of the situation. I don't have to get into the nitty-gritty of things. They just let me unload whatever that looks like. Sometimes it is with great frustration because my desire for the student is more than what they're desiring for themselves. And there's a sensing of frustration there. Or maybe it's because there's a certain family that we just can't seem to get on the same page, and there's misinterpretations, and I need to talk those things through. And that's what I've learned from some key people around me, is that it can't just be Jeremy. And I've learned that from him, and I appreciate that. Is that hard to hear from your husband, that he can't listen to everything that I've got to share? And, women have all of these words, and I have a lot of words. And sometimes that's exhausting for him. But I needed to be able to receive that it was of pure heart. And for him to say, Kimmy, you are surrounded by some great people. Now, it may just be this handful of people that I really have trust in, and know that they can maintain that confidence and such, but that they're going to speak truth to me, and they're going to help me through whatever it is, because they are so grounded in God's word and in his truth that they are going to fill me with that truth.
Right. That's good. Well, let's switch gears here for just a minute, or change gears. Let's do something with gears. I don't know. My wife was telling me a couple of weeks ago that 2020 just felt like a series of birth pains. And of course, someone who's had 3 children, of course, that's what she would say, because she says, something happens, and then we kind of caught our breath, and then something else would happen, and then we kind of catch our breath, and then again. And she said, and it almost seems as though they were increasing in intensity, a little bit with some of the things as we went through 2020. And so, that made me think about, well, if there's birth pains, what is this going to give birth to, right? And I think that I think there's things that could give birth to fear and anxiety and worry and all kinds of things. But as we look forward now in 2021 to what might be on the way, and I have no idea. So I'm not asking you to say, hey, here's what's going to happen in the next 3 months, because I told everybody in 2020, I said, if you went to a prophecy conference in 2019, you should ask for your money back, because nobody saw this coming. But here's what I would say is, though, but how do we? We've got these things that we've learned. We've got these things that God has taught us corporately, and God has taught us individually. So moving forward into this new year, I mean, what do we take with some of these things we learned, and how do we apply those things into our lives with our families, at work, in our the relationships?
So the first thing that comes to my mind is knowing that we have persevered. We've conquered 2020. We already did it.
Yeah.
And now we're stepping into the new, and we believe that God's always working together for the good. And so we have to step into the truth of his word and knowing that each day can bring something new to us. It can still create those obstacles, the hurdles, the trials and tribulation. But if we're leaning into him, we know that he's going to work it together for the good. He tells us that. And I think it is so critical for us all to say, where have we been? And where are we going? And we've got to keep our eyes focused on him. He is the one that carried us through 2020. He is the key ingredient to making the lemonade out of these lemons.
Right.
He is the key. It's coming back to those basics again. I really believe in all of this turmoil that we've gone through. And like your wife was saying, those birth pains. As a mom, you kind of have this awareness of these milestones that your child's going to hit, but you're not exactly sure what day they're going to hit it on. And you're not exactly sure what the next milestone is going to bring, but it is bringing great joy every step of the way. Are there the challenges that go with that? Most definitely. Are there the uncertainties? Absolutely. But we got to focus on what is praiseworthy. The word tells us that we have to think on these things, and he rattles off all of these things, whatever is pure and noble and righteous and lovely and praiseworthy. Think on these things. We don't need to reflect back and say, what were all the negatives? We need to reflect back and say, what did we conquer? What did we persevere through? And how does that help us press on towards the goal? And that's what I'm going to be doing every single day in 2021. I am literally going to continue in my walk with the Lord. I am going to rise every morning and say, renew my mind. Lord, let your mercies be fresh and new every single day. He tells us this. And that truth and that knowing that we can be a conqueror through him. I mean, why not? Yeah. Let's do it. Absolutely. Let's take on 2021. Let's take it.
Yeah. I mean, I think Christians in particular, we have sat on the sidelines for too long. And we've watched things, and we've been observers. And I think you're spot on, Kimmy. I think that's exactly right. You know, I think that there are challenges ahead for everyone, but as Christ followers, we're never alone. And so we don't have to feel like, hey, I'm doing this and I'm doing it all by myself, because if you're a Christ follower, God is with you and in you all the time.
Yeah.
Just sort of wrapping things up for today, is there anything that you would want to encourage the people who are watching this today, encourage them with? And you can talk to them right there if you want to.
All right. I would encourage you, like I just said, to reflect on the past, but don't live in the past. Take everything that God has given to you and know that it is for his good. It's with purpose and intent. You are wonderfully and fearfully made as an image bearer of Christ. He loves you. He will never forsake you. And when we can reflect back on his goodness, his grace, his mercy, his love, his comfort, his peace, all of these things, we can walk into what his truth is. And we can step into being a light source for others. I would encourage you to run to the Father again and again and again. And if you haven't heard that song, I would encourage you to look it up. You can find it on YouTube. The internet has a wealth of resources for praiseworthy songs that you can fill your heart and your mind and your home with. But that one is one that is awesome. It's just that you're going to run to the Father again and again and again. And that's what we have to do every single day.
Oh, that's so good, Kimmy. Thanks for saying that today. And thanks for the time.
Sure.
I didn't know principals could skip school like this, but I think it's great.
I'm working remote.
Hey, just to kind of wrap things up real quickly, you know, one of the things that Kimmy said just a minute ago, she referenced a verse in Romans chapter 8. It's Romans 8:29. It says, but God causes all things to work together for good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. Yeah. And here at the beginning of a new year, if you look back and go, man, my life was a mess in 2020. And maybe your life was also a mess in 2019 and 2018 and 17, because your life's been a mess as long as you've been alive, because you've never put your trust in Jesus.
Wow.
at the beginning of a new year, there is not a better time than right now for you to put your trust in Jesus, to say, I need you. I can't live my life by myself. I want to follow your plan instead of my plan. That's what that verse that she quoted talks about. For those that are called according to his purpose. God, for those people, for those who are Christ followers, he causes all things to work together for good. He doesn't cause all things to work together for good if you're not a Christ follower. And so there's going to be things in your life, you're like, well, why did that happen? And it's because you don't have a relationship with the Lord. And so I would encourage you, we would love to see you put your trust in Jesus and to follow him. And you know what you could do? If you'd like to do that, you can just pray a very simple prayer. You can say, Jesus, I need you. I don't want to live the life that I've been living. I want to live the life you have for me. I don't understand it right now, but I'm going to turn towards you. And the best understanding, I'm going to follow you. And if you made a decision today and thinking, you know what, I need Jesus. Hey, I want to help you with that. Our Mosaic team, we want to help you with that. Matt would love to help you with that. And here's the deal. Just text the word Jesus to the number on the bottom of the screen, or you can email us at hello@southcrest.church, and we would love to help you. And I say this a lot, but when I first came to know Christ, I had a lot of questions. I didn't understand things. And so I found some people who could answer some questions and could help me. And that's all we want to do. We're not trying to do anything else to manipulate you or control you or brainwash you. But if you've got honest questions, we'll give you honest answers. And thanks again for watching this episode of Mosaic. And next week, we've got a new episode. We're talking about honor and talking about how some of the virtues that are really important, they've been forgotten about. And how can we put those back into our lives so that the relationships around us get more healthy and more strong? So Kimmy, thanks again for being here today. Just tremendous. And I know this is going to help tons and tons of people. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.